Okay, so welcome to Philadelphia Walks PTSD. My name is Sharon Cole, or Sharon, or Cole, whatever you want to refer to me as. No big deal. In a good way. I don't care. Rat, pig, horse, cow, hippo, rhino, dinosaur, lizard. All kinds of names floating around out there. And it turns out all these different groups who participate in hate crimes, basically, or superiority games, or what have you, they all have different beliefs about what names mean. So like everybody uses the word pig. It seems to be a general term. Like usually, like my upbringing would suggest, oh, that's what they use for like cops or whatever. I have no cop experience, nothing. In fact, I've had to call internal affairs to figure out what the problem was. So, because what if the problem's in the cop world? So, is that a pig? I don't know. So we'll just leave it at that. But everybody has their own little terms, this, that, and the other, in order to try to gain points in the gangster world or the whatever world they belong in. It all boils down to how do you feel superior to other people, or people working really hard to feel superior to other people. Um, so I was someone who really was desperate to figure out, like, what do I desire, or what do I want in life? So I spent a lot of years trying to figure out which direction to go in, how to find work in that pursuit, and so forth and so on. I didn't really know how to outdo thy neighbor, and some people will say, don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Meanwhile, they have a bunch of houses or this, that, and the other, and so forth and so on. So there's a lot of hypocrites out there. But my journey originally was, how do I get up and out of a certain world? I was kind of on the cusp there. It's sort of like you're on the borderline of join the military just to get a ticket out of, Dodge the whole of, Delaware. So anyway, so that was usually my modus operandi, my MO. But other people have, from birth or from very early on, their entire agenda is to stomp on other people and to tear them down. So if you grow up in, around, or forced to be with such people just because you're a kid, and maybe there's blended families or what have you, and you're up against people who they are almost trained, like it's almost like the Terminator, and you're like trying to figure out how they found your name in the phone book, So anyway, with that said, this is day 118 of my one video each day, 365 day raising money campaign for a life lost to harassment, extreme forms of harassment, and an extreme blow up. My world exploded the fourth Monday of January 2011 when I was made to believe I'd be murdered in my apartment by a series of orchestrated events. And I did believe I'd be murdered. I thought it was the last night of my life. I was convulsing, trembling. I couldn't hold the phone. I finally called my sister. Then she convinced me to call police. The police came out, acted like they were on the Andy Griffith show. They might as well have been whistling and kicking stones on the sidewalk. They didn't even offer to come in to check the basement, which was part and parcel of my call. That would have helped me feel a lot better, because I couldn't figure out. I thought someone was coming up through the basement to kill me because there was ruckus outside and there were windows down to the basement. I was in a very tiny, tiny shoebox apartment studio on the first floor, front half of a row home. So with that said, you just want to say that you'd think that would be enough, right, for whoever these people are. It's almost as if they created an invisible movie or like a Truman Show effect. It's hard to explain. Or say people can create a movie and you would have no idea. Your brain's way over here trying to figure out how to survive, or how do I figure out how to be in a non-toxic environment, Philly? You stand a chance here. Unless you play the game. And you're okay with it. I can't imagine being okay with it. So anyway, it did feel like people were creating a movie. There were satellite vans all over the place. There was a lot of digging going on, because at the time they were putting in, whether it's Fios or Verizon this or Comcast that, a lot of wires run underground now. But they do play into a theory when you see too much equipment in your area for too long. So anyway, games commenced after that. I even called my mom and aunt the next day. We're sorry, the phone number you're trying to reach has been disconnected. Who cut the cord is my question, because I do think the cord was cut. I didn't want to scare my mom and aunt too much. And they are so used to being minimized themselves. They're dead now. but they were so used to being minimized, like, oh, it's probably nothing. They are quintessential the women who kowtowed and bowed down to the almighty certain type of male. Well, Alan must know best. Excuse me, I know better than him, and I know it. I know it. Let me say that again. I know it. Well, we'll have to defer to Alan. No, I actually know better than he does, and I know it. It's very disturbing when women are so, oppressed that they just assume the male is the wisest one. No, not in this case, not in that scenario. So who cut the cord in Jacksonville, Florida? So anyway, that's my usual, setup, if you will. And I do think I was set up for that because it was so whack. I was like, I had to learn more about Area 51, Philadelphia experiments, science fiction. I'm like, is this like it got weird to the point of people can manipulate the energy in a small space or a large space, even in Philadelphia. How do they handle crowd control? What if there are more forces at play? And somebody can't figure out how they got from here to there. Maybe there is a Santa Claus up there and people are checking to see who's naughty and nice. Or maybe there are giants out there. We got giant supermarkets here. All of a sudden, they must be giants. So anyway, with that said, I wanted to talk about something, another form of harassment, or just to describe certain types of harassment, which would be among the 72,000 layer cake of harassment when you are an extreme severe target, of which I was and still am to an extent, but it's quieted down because of the pandemic. But one of those things would include being set up to feel confident, secure, safe. For instance, this happened recently. I was offered a gig for 16 nights over the summer to do overnights for someone. And it made me feel better because when you know you have money coming in, that's part of the ingredient mix of a more secure life. And one that's earned, per se. Most people like the idea, if they're in a position to do so, and not everybody is, but if you're in a position to be able to earn money and pay on a mortgage, or at least feel secure to pay your rent every month, you feel better, it's more secure, and you're like, I can relax for a second because I know that I have money coming in. That makes me feel better. Now I can maybe strategize and try to figure out how to move over here. And one of my goals is actually to move to a quieter community, live in a home far away from where people play the game too much, and to pay on a mortgage. I would love to stay there in a nice home, have a cat, a dog maybe, and some nice friends, no one who plays these games, because that's not exciting at all. It's torturous. It's disturbing and it's immature. And I know someone came in here right quick to make me feel a certain way. I know that I felt good for a second, and now someone's making me feel more despair. So I have to fight that. They can do it. They can do it. Please humor this idea for a second, because there are people out there who are severely depressed. And it could be because of where you live. And it can even happen here in Center City, in a place like Center City, Philadelphia, where everybody's supposed to be, ambitious and this, that, and the other. And I don't like to use the word go-getter, but go-getters or what have you. I know someone switched. I don't know how they do it. I know it came in. Boop. All of a sudden, we're going to make Sharon feel despair. Oh my God. They can do. It's not God. God doesn't operate that. If there's a God, he wouldn't operate that way. So 16 nights, real quick, I'm on the calculator. Yes, I can pay more down on a credit card that I kind of maintain just enough to have, because I have one credit card. And credit cards are necessary if you want to make certain purchases or this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I can pay down the credit card. I feel, it's a lot of hard work doing overnights for someone. You are operating from someone else's house. So you're hardly in your home. You're back and forth a lot. You want to take, I usually come home to take a shower because I don't like showering in other people's places in general. But it's a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. and I'm very conscious, and I care a lot, and I want to do a good job, even if it's just dog walking and house sitting, that I would be in and out 50 million times making sure people's dogs are okay. Boom, $1,300 gone in a flash. For someone who's used to living with a low budget, that's a hard hit. Now, I've had people cancel who are smarter and wiser, and they know a thing or two about hard knocks. And they will say, yeah, I charge a fee for certain things. Like if you cancel within 48 hours notice, 24 hours notice, then I charge half a fee. That way I don't take a total loss, but also they don't have to pay the full price. So I meet people halfway. I'm like, I'm willing to do that. Boom, $1,300 gone just like that. That is rent for me and utilities and a phone bill. It's a whole bunch of, there's like 3 things that were covered, and I would still have other walks to do other things like, I don't know, eat. I wear the same thing every day, and a lot of my clothes, I have clothes that are actually free because I either found that I actually find stuff on the sidewalk, or people are like, I'm wearing a free donated coat right now. And anything purchased I've probably had for about 7-8 years. So there are people who would say they would try to make up for the loss one way or the other. Then you have people who are clueless. They're either playing a game and they think it's funny and they're really immature, or they actually don't even care. They sit there with jobs that they probably got because of family lineages, nepotism, which means you have family working, say, at an insurance company or a pharmaceutical company or Comcast or whatever, and that's how you get in. It like helps to know someone on some level. Or families just hire families. So I know someone brought in, I feel a little bit better now, but I know someone wanted to shift the tone of my talking, just like I said earlier, and right quick I started to feel a slight hint of despair. We're trying to figure out who it is while I keep talking. Isn't that disturbing? That you could wind up on the short end of the stick. That's right. A lot of people are. There are people out there and they're wondering why everything keeps working, wondering why everything keeps working. They got the lottery ticket big time. And they kind of know something's off. It's too easy. This is too easy. Now, granted, I don't know what you do unless you say, what up? I'm grateful, but things are too easy. Or what is it? I need to question. I need somebody. I was already way down here feeling depressed and despair, and then they come in and poke the veil. Like, they don't poke the veil for Olympic runners. There are people still riding that ride, but I don't know how you get off the ride, to be honest, if it's a ride. Some people get a really good ride. And some people do work hard. Some people are slaved out for their ride, and some people aren't. There are actual slaves out there who are musicians, Olympic figures, and they're slaved. They are slaves. So in a way, it is hard earned. But I don't know how you get out of it. They excel. I'm saying this because I was slaved out. I have 5 pieces of work, 4 books, and 1 essay that I did all by myself, all the work, and I had to pay for it. That's a lot of entire publishing companies are created to produce that amount of work. Entire teams of editors and writers working, collaborating. Oh my God, did you catch that error? Oh my, did you mean this? We have an entire world, institutions. And you have people now writing, because most people can't get a foot into the publishing industry unless what? Nepotism, that's right. Some of them are slaved out and they become famous writers, and they might be slaved out. Some of them just got a super easy ticket and they're like, that was so easy, oh my God. And either they're ignoring a little nagging thing like it was too easy. Why aren't other people able to get published? I know a lot of people who they write better than me and they can't get published. Why is that? There are people who know this, and they're wondering what the dealio is. But anyway, back to dropping someone like a hot potato. Can you imagine if your office space where you get, holiday pay, sick pay, personal days, all these extra days, you can work these hours in order to do this, you can get this, you can that, this, we got 401k, healthcare, this, that, and somehow that world worked for you, or again, nepotism, or you have, lots of connections and can find a job and you can stay in the job because you don't feel subjugated all the time. Most people hate going to work because there's always someone who has to be the boss, which was technically one of the topics I wanted to bring up today. But there are people who know that if you drop a big job on a dog walker or anyone who's in that kind of world, an independent business kind of world, there are people who would knowingly kind of say, well, here's something to make up for that. Sorry, our plans changed, or there's death in the family, or what have you. Most people will explain it, and some people don't because they're doing something on purpose, wrong. They will do this in the gang stalking world. And I'm here to tell people, in case whoever winds up at Target next, I pray for you. Because I do think they keep working on their skills, if you will, or they keep trying to tweak here. This worked in this person's case. This didn't work. Now we got to figure out. The thing is, if you have higher people come up trying to help the target, they will never outdo them. So anyway, just saying, ouch. I wasn't happy about having to do 16 nights at someone else's house because it is hard work. But I was like, thank you, God, because I can keep going and I don't have to worry. And it'll help give me a little bit of leeway so I can start to figure out how to go over here and escape Alcatraz. That's Philadelphia. And the world of gang stalking in Philadelphia is one of the hotbeds of gang stalking. It is a very corrupt, dirty city with dirty-minded people. This is a known fact. People come in, figure out what's going on, hightail it out. Santa Cruz is another hotbed of activity. Now, Biden had to go in there because of something happened there. I don't know if it was weather related or what, but I'm kind of wondering if they tried to shake things up in Santa Cruz, California. So the other topic would be the people in the gang stalking world, they kind of assume they're higher than other people. They just have a mindset like, oh, they already come into the world. I don't know if it's because of they just think a certain way, and maybe they live in a nicer home or have more advantages, and they will look at other people and just assume that the other people need to be taught or helped. And the gang stalkers are actually, they have a mindset of superiority, and they treat people that way. I'm here to teach you. So in this way, we're here to show you. We're here to teach you. Meanwhile, they don't know anything about your history. They just assume that they're higher, smarter, and can bestow information, or that they're supposed to teach you. It's condescending and patronizing. Oh, well, you didn't know, or is she still asleep? She's still asleep. She's still asleep. She's still asleep. Now, at the time, I thought it was like a religious reference by self-righteous religious people. Like she ain't, that wouldn't have come up. She ain't woke yet. It would be more like, she's not awake yet. She's not awake yet. She's not awake yet. She's still asleep. She's still sleeping. Now I wonder, we won't get into it. We will. But now I wonder if I was supposed to recognize that as people mocking people in my family. Like, say someone slept a lot because they were incredibly depressed and that was one of their coping mechanisms. Because people will check out because of gang stalkers. The entire drug community, there's an argument that the entire drug community could exist because of gang stalkers. I got to go to sleep just to cope with this person's superiority complex. just hit me up, numb me out, because I don't even know what to do with these people who think they're superior all the time. And they act as such. Now, good leaders out there, they, in my opinion, but I know they're better, there are good leaders who will sit back and, they might know, what, it would help that person if she knew, if someone, somehow she found out that this, that, and the other was going on. But they wouldn't be self-righteous about it. There's a way. People have finesse, or there's a style. Gang stalkers will blatantly, they just assume they were up here and they were supposed to teach everybody else. They just assume that. They have no idea what people's histories are, or no understanding of what people have had to deal with since birth. And everybody has all these things they have to deal with since birth. And they are willing to walk out here on the streets and conduct skits, or to suggest they know your personal business, or to make you hurt. If she is still asleep. And I was like, at the time, I just figured they meant me. Like, I was half dissociated. I was a dissociated person. That was, as part of coping, people will split. And in order to get by, they sort of have to turn off certain people or parts of the world. And in a way, if you scare the shit out of someone through a very underhanded way, sneaky, cowardly, underhanded way, and creepy way, the person will automatically wake up. But whose right is it to come into your world and scare the shit out of you without showing their faces? The core people who set it up. Who do they think they are? So we'll end it there and have a great day. And hopefully this video will last the whole time and show up. Yesterday it cut off at some point and it had to say 333, I think, at the end. Okay, thank you. On the timestamp.